here's the thymic activity, and you can see after age 10 it starts going down, and right at age 40, we can see right at age 40 where it drops. That's when all those diseases of aging, right, start occurring. Cancer, osteoporosis, autoimmunity, and so, okay, what do you do about it? Well, there's all these studies, and you probably heard about them here, like let's rejuvenate the thymus, that's great, but why not just give back thymic peptides? Ew. You know, if they're safe, effective, inexpensive, it's like, you know, hormone replacement. And you can see there, look at the diseases, exactly when the thymus activity diminishes. This is probably a little too technical now, but you look at really your immune system is the core of aging, right? So you age well, for a lot of reasons, but the biggest core factor is your immune system. And if you think about your immune system, there's two sides. There's Th1, to get stuff inside the cell, and there's Th2, to get stuff outside the cell. Usually they're balanced, but as you get older, your thymus right here in your breastbone starts to involute. At age 15, it starts going down. And what happens, your Th1 goes down, and your Th2 goes up. So you can't fight intercellular infections, you can't fight cancers, but you have all this inflammation. And then also toxins, and we're being toxin to death with the food we're getting, all the pesticides, plastics. It's killing us, honestly. And chronic infections, so the immune system drops in vaccines, and then this keeps going up. So right now, I mean, so many people have multi-system illness that we never had like 20 years ago. And let's see. So it's really called a Th1 to Th2 shift. And that's like, you can really tell someone's health by their immune system. So we'll check this in the clinic. And what happens, that ends up causing suppression of your immune system, which then your body can't get rid of these bad cells called senescent cells. And they start building up, and they cause, instead of basically doing what they're supposed to do, they go into like cell danger response, and they start secreting all this reactive oxygen species. And then that then recruits all these other senescent cells, and it's a vicious cycle. Like everything in medicine is a vicious cycle. So you basically get what's called inflammaging, cellular senescence, and then which results in all these diseases of aging that people are having now at 30, 35. And I mean, we're, as a population, very, very sick. And so the thymus involutes, and we'll show you a graph on that, and then it results in mitochondria, pineal, hypothalamic, pituitary dysfunction, and this is a little probably too technical, but, and then again, everything's a vicious cycle. So even the CDC, which is not, you know, they're about 17 years behind on average, but they said 80% of aged individuals are afflicted with at least one chronic disease as a result of decline in thymic function. Okay, why don't we fix that? And there's 80% of the population now gets rid of their chronic illness. Low levels of thymic peptide are found to be primary, secondary immune deficiencies. It results in autoimmunity and all these, again, diseases of aging. And everything's a vicious cycle. And this was from 2003 with training physicians, but you'll see everything just goes around and around with the immune system at the core. And so what is the peptide? Is anyone using peptides or bioregulators? You don't count. Okay, cool. Are you guys using more peptides or bioregulators or peptide? Yeah, so what is a peptide? So they're naturally occurring basically amino acid chains. Just arbitrarily, if they're longer than 40 to 50 matters who you ask, they're a protein, like insulin. If they're shorter, they're a peptide. But then bioregulators are a peptide, but a subset of peptides that are 2 to 4 amino acids in length, and they work differently. So peptides generally work on the cell surface, and which then cause a chain reaction in the cells, and they have multiple effects. Now the bioregulators work a little differently. They go into the cell and then attach the DNA promoters or inhibitors of gene transcription. So what it does, it works epigenetically, and it turns on or off genes. And luckily, they turn on the anti-aging genes, anti-inflammatory genes, and turn off the aging genes. And so it's really a huge breakthrough. And although they've been around for quite a while, but most of the research, again, was in the Soviet Union. I don't know if you saw Dr. McCann's talk, but the Soviet Union, they found that their astronauts and the high-speed jet pilots and submariners were aging tremendously fast. And they said, basically, they went to Kavanaugh, Kavison, who was a KGB physician in charge of the gerontology, said, "You shall fix this," right? Okay. And interestingly, he was very good friends with Pavlov's dogs, right? And although Pavlov is known for that, he was actually very into peptides. And that was actually his major interest. And so it seemed like a stroke of luck, but I'm sure there was a lot behind it. And they found giving the pineal gland bioregulator with a thymus bioregulator reversed that rapid aging. And all this was kept secret because it was Soviet Union, right? So it was a military secret. They used it on the military and the Olympic team, and they did pretty damn well during that time, right? And then when it was the fall of the Soviet Union, the studies started getting published, but they're in Russian. And slowly people started translating the studies and going, shit, what's going on over there? And so they're publishing, and then they'll be able to bring them here in the U.S. So it's really transformed, again, my life and so many patients. It's crazy. But yeah, so peptides work on almost every process in the body, and we think kind of like, oh, the hormones, the master regulators, but think of the peptides as the fine tuning, and they're very tissue specific. Where you give a peptide, you got there's 21 bioregulators, right? For instance, I have chronic kidney disease from the Lyme, and so my creatinine is a little high. This is probably TMI, but so when my urine's very foamy if I don't take something because of the protein. I dump protein, but if I take the kidney bioregulator, about 6 hours later for 3 days, no foam, so no dumping of protein. And we'll give it out to patients, friends, family. And one of our staff's mom said her mom was on dialysis. I said, oh, here, give her this. Kind of forgot about it. 3 months later, she said, oh my God, the doctor is so freaked out. He's never had anyone get off dialysis. And my kidney function improved. I'm like, well, that's kind of nice. And they're extremely safe. You can give them 10,000 times a dose. And there's just so many things they work for. For instance, someone has AFib, give them the cardiac bioregulator. But the big thing is with the thymic peptides, and we'll get into that. So this is talking about the origin I just spoke about. With the Russian origin, and very tissue specific. And so they found that if you give a peptide, for something else, it didn't affect the tissue in terms of protein synthesis. So they're very specific. So we have one for the thyroid, and actually no one else has this. This took a long time to develop. In terms of there's the extracts, like the thyroid extract, and then there's the actual active molecule, right? And so no one supposedly knew of the active molecule, but we have 3 of them, and actually going to be 6. But so there's thyroid bioregulators and thyroid axis bioregulators. And here's a couple studies. So thyroid and thyroid axis bioregulators are extracted from the thyroid gland, can normalize thyroid function, reverse hypo and hyperthyroidism, autoimmune thyroiditis, reduce the size of nodules, improves the pineal, hypothalamic, pituitary thyroid function, prevents stem cell aging, activates telomerase, improves cholesterol, rejuvenates hair, nails, improves physical performance. And these are all studies, by the way. Less chronic infections. So this is a small study, but 25 patients with primary hypothyroidism, including 11 men, 14 women. Controlled group of 19 patients. Both groups complained of severe fatigue, poor endurance, drowsiness, memory impairment, frequent headaches, dizziness, and increased incidence of chest pain. Signs of thyroid atrophy were detected. The control group prescribed conventional therapy, which was T4 for 20 days. Patients in the primary group received the thyroid bioregulator. So this is not the thyroid axis, but the thyroid bioregulator. Patients had basically tested the laboratory tests. Results that the thyroid bioregulator noted to improvements in clinical manifestations of disease in 78% of cases. The most significant effect was observed in persons older people. After just 20 days, compared to the control group, thyroid bioregulator group noted increased working capacity, decreased frequency of headaches, and decreased chest pain. That's a good thing. Their thyroid levels went up. They basically reached the normal level. So the bioregulator group experienced a 300% increase in T3 to a level into the normal range, and T4 level 25%, the lowest level of normal. So dramatic improvement in the thyroid levels without additional thyroid. So after stopping the therapy, T4 and T3 levels in the thyroid group remained normal for 3 to 4 months. So it reset the whole thyroid gland. And so here's the graph there, and you can see that after treatment with conventional, so before treatment, 0.38 on T3, and then the conventional group that got thyroid, 1.12, with the bioregulator, 1.5, and T4 went from 38 to 55 with treatment, but 87 with the bioregulator. So there's another study, 218 patients with autoimmune thyroiditis, so Hashimoto's. 89 people that are treated with T4, 50 micrograms. The second group also received the thyroid bioregulator. And the third group, they got the thyroid axis bioregulator, okay? And so you see the numbers here that with the ultrasound of the thyroid, the one that got the thyroid axis bioregulator actually reduced the swelling and the enlargement in nodules. And then with infrared also improved significantly. With T4, so the original was 0.85 before treatment, and they with standard treatment to 0.92. With just the thyroid bioregulator, 0.98, but significantly more increase with the axis. Same with the TSH, went from 7 to 4 to lower with the thyroid axis. And then the big thing is the antibodies. So the antibodies are attacking the thyroid. And the standard thyroid bioregulator did not reduce the antibodies, but the thyroid axis bioregulator lowered it from 83 to 18, and the TPO, a different antibody, from 357 to 29. 371 to 29, where the thyroid bioregulator did not do anything. So it's a big bump up with the thyroid axis bioregulator, and this is we have there with the 3 different bioregulators that no one knows about, but We have them there at Integrated Peptides in the exhibit hall. So this is another study. This was actually rats, or you can also do attorneys. It kind of works the same. So the first group basically didn't do anything. The second group, they received the physiologic saline. And then 15 rats and 10 old rats received the thyroid axis bioregulator. And the young and old rats treated with saline experienced a 43 and 30% weight loss, growth retardation and sluggishness, suppressed excitement, and anorexia, while those given the thyroid axis bioregulator had a 19, significantly less weight loss, and the one that had the additional thyroid axis bioregulator only had a 7 and 6% weight loss. Normal thyroid architecture was much more consistently maintained with the thyroid bioaxis. TSH, T3, and T4 levels plummeted 80 to 90% after they took out the thyroid. I don't know if I mentioned that part. So they took out their thyroid, but decline was significantly blunted with the thyroid bioregulators, which is interesting because they took out their thyroid. How did the levels of thyroid increase, right? So what it shows that our simplistic view of the thyroid, makes the thyroid, is the only thing making the thyroid hormone is not right. So, and actually a number of tissues will make thyroid hormone. So, and there's some also studies showing that where they take chickens, but they took out their pituitary, and you give the pineal peptide, and it's making all these hormones, and the pituitary is gone. So the body is amazing, but our simplistic view is interesting. So the thyroid axis bioregulator prevented the signs of hypothyroidism and normalized the structure and function of the thyroid gland. So it was shown to significantly rejuvenate and stimulate both the structure and function of the thymus, and which we were saying that's a major cause. So the vascular bioregulator, so basically it's peptides from the vessel endometrium, or to say in the endothelial lining, and it's pretty amazing.
Sorry, it's giving you a little water right here.
Thanks. Some coffee. It is the 9 o'clock party time. So with the vascular bioregulator, it's very interesting. So many studies on this stuff showing it reverses and prevents Alzheimer's, atherosclerosis. I mean, it's crazy. Hypertension, chronic kidney disease, which is just plaguing our country. So reduce the mortality, administering the cardiac bioregulator with the vessel, dramatic reduction in cardiovascular disease, morbidity, mortality when using these things, especially together. And I know there's some controversy how many bioregulators you can give patients, and it was reported to me that someone was saying no more than 5. Well, I don't know, they give people 20 first visits, and it's amazing. But yeah, you can, each patient's different. But also substantial decrease in necrotic areas, like after a heart attack. So it reverses the damage of a heart attack. I mean, it's just why isn't this on the front page of, LA Times? But I guess it's not a news organization anymore. But so blood vessel bioregulators restore vascular function, normalize endothelial 1, which shows atherosclerosis. So it's basically rejuvenating the whole cardiovascular system. Congestive heart failure, it's crazy, because that's, I had that, and it's not a good way to live. So in this study here, the study aimed to evaluate the effects of the vascular bioregulator on, basically it's from the order of young calves. They had 49 patients, 27 treatment group, 22 in the control group. and they had atherosclerosis and CNL purpura. So it's basically where you see with aged individuals, they'll have like the bruising, and I'm getting the red light. I haven't even got through much, but wow, I can't believe it went that fast. And so basically, it reversed all the cardiovascular disease. I wouldn't say all. It significantly improved it. And let me get to a couple things here. And so we have like basically a number of combination products. So we'll have, the bioregulators, there's 21 of them, so you can take, each individual one's a lot of pills. So what we're doing is putting them together based on a particular need. So for brain, we have the basically the brain bioregulator, the vascular, and with subcortical pinealion, which has amazing effects. I have so many studies in this, but it took way too long. And then the pineal pep, which is the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is the master regulator of all your systems. So it has all the different pineal stuff, and so we're making it simple.